As chronic stress becomes a global epidemic, our stress response is being studied intensively to see if we can unwind its mysteries. It turns out that our perspective has a surprising amount of influence over the body's stress response. When we turn a threat into a challenge, our body responds very differently. Psychologist Elissa Epel is one of the leading researchers on stress, and she explained to me how stress is supposed to work. Our stress response evolved to save us from attack or danger, like a hungry lion or a falling avalanche. Cortisol and adrenaline course into our blood. This causes our pupils to dilate so we can see more clearly, our heart and breathing to speed up so we can respond faster, and the blood to divert from our organs to our large muscles so we can fight or flee. This stress response evolved as a rare and temporary experience, but for many in our modern world, it is constantly activated. Epel and her colleague, Nobel Prize-winning molecular biologist Elizabeth Blackburn, have found that constant stress actually wears down our telomeres, the caps on our DNA that protect our cells from illness and aging. It is not just stress, but our thought patterns in general that impact our telomeres, which has led Epel and Blackburn to conclude that our cells are actually listening to our thoughts. The problem is not the existence of stressors, which cannot be avoided. Stress is simply the brain's way of signaling that something is important. The problem, or perhaps the opportunity, is how we respond to this stress. Epel and Blackburn explain that it is not the stress alone that damages our telomeres. It is our response to the stress that is most important. They encourage us to develop stress resilience. This involves turning what is called threat stress, or the perception that a stressful event is a threat that will harm us, into what is called challenge stress, or the perception that a stressful event is a challenge that will help us grow. The remedy they offer is quite straightforward. One simply notices the fight or flight stress response in one's body, the beating heart, the pulsing blood or tingling feeling in our hands and face, the rapid breathing. Then remembers that these are natural responses to stress and that our body is just preparing to rise to the challenge. What determines whether we see something or someone as a threat? The Archbishop and the Dalai Lama were saying that so much of our stress is dependent on seeing ourselves as separate from others, which perhaps returns to the loss of our sense of communal connection, of Ubuntu. I had once asked the Archbishop how he handled worry and insomnia, and he said that he thought about people all around the world who are also awake and unable to sleep. Thinking about others and remembering that he was not alone lessened his distress and his worries as he would say a prayer for them. I would give teachings when I was young, the Dalai Lama explained, describing one of the experiences that would cause him to experience stress and anxiety. I would be very nervous because I did not see myself as the same as the people in the audience. Then, after 1959, when I left Tibet, I started thinking, these people are just like me, same human being. If we think we are something special or not special enough, then fear, nervousness, stress, and anxiety arise. We are the same. What the Dalai Lama and I are offering, the Archbishop added, is a way of handling your worries, thinking about others. You can think about others who are in a similar situation, or perhaps even in a worse situation, but who have survived, even thrived. It does help quite a lot to see yourself as part of a greater whole. Once again, the path of joy was connection, and the path of sorrow was separation. When we see others as separate, they become a threat. When we see others as part of us, as connected, as interdependent, then there is no challenge we cannot face together. When I meet someone, the Dalai Lama said, returning to what was becoming an important theme, I always try to relate to the person on the basic human level. On that level, I know that, just like me, he or she wishes to find happiness, to have fewer problems and less difficulty in their life. Whether I am speaking with one person or whether I am giving a talk to a large group of people, I always see myself first and foremost as just another fellow human. That way, there is in fact no need for introduction. If, on the other hand, I relate to others from the perspective of myself as someone different, a Buddhist, a Tibetan, and so on, I will then create walls to keep me apart from others. And if I relate to others thinking that I am the Dalai Lama, I will create the basis for my own separation and loneliness. After all, there is only one Dalai Lama in the entire world. In contrast, if I see myself primarily in terms of myself as a fellow human, I will then have more than 7 billion people who I can feel deep connection with. And this is wonderful, isn't it? What do you need to fear or worry about when you have 7 billion other people who are with you?